Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about something that was shared with me earlier today, and I found it to be very interesting. Of course, this is not the first time I heard it. I decided to bring this video outside so I can have my buddy join me. And many of you have stated that you like the nature in the videos as well. So that's why we're out here. But what we're going to be talking about is something that was shared with me earlier in regards to how some anti-vaxxers are saying that wearing a mask, they're actually comparing wearing a mask to slavery. So you can imagine when the descendants of slaves hear such a thing, you can get a reaction, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the thing that gets me is you're comparing wearing a mask to slavery. Matter of fact, let me say this. Have you even seen any of the movies that were done about slavery, showing you the things that actually went on in slavery, and you comparing that to a mask? Are you serious?
I know.
There are people jumping off ships to die in the water that would rather die, right, than to be a slave.
Right.
And you don't see, people ain't trying to kill themselves because they don't want to wear a mask.
Exactly. And so I feel like that statement was, I mean, they're not the only ones who made the statement. This was an article, and it dealt with something that happened, I believe, in a school in California where some protesters, some anti-vaxxers were saying something, and one of the children of one of the counter-protesters, I think, actually had to say, no, our people actually went through slavery, so it's not the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, when I hear such a thing, it shows the disconnect.
Yes.
Okay. There is a huge disconnect to black suffering. And that's what the world seems to be like. The whole world seems to disconnect themselves. This is why you can have all of these atrocities happen in Africa, right? But the people who are descendants or the beneficiaries of much of what has happened in the past in Africa, they don't see the point that many try to make when we talk about the atrocities. They're like, why are we talking about that? That's in the past. How can you say something is in the past when you still hold the land deeds?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they still holding on to land deeds of land that was robbed and taken and stolen, and people died for it, right? And you still holding the deeds of it, but you want everybody to just forget. I just don't understand it. You know, to me, it's to make these comparisons and to sit back and look at what's going on in life. I mean, my goodness, wearing a mask, really?
Well, and see, the whole world has been subjected to wearing a mask, right? But has the whole world been subjected to some of the things? Now, let me just clarify, because you'll have smart Alex who will come and say, well, this happened to this person and this, and we're talking about little random things that happen, okay? But as a whole, and see, I got to say something about this too. They're going to say that black people weren't the only ones who were enslaved. Okay, see, those are the kind of comments I've been getting on my channel for years. But these are people who are out of touch with reality.
Right.
They know good and well that the chattel slavery that was inflicted on so-called black people is totally different.
Totally different, yeah.
It's totally different. These are people who were kidnapped from their land. These were people who had to watch as their families were torn apart. I can go deep into this.
Oh, these are people who their loved ones were raped
in front of them.
In front of them, and we ain't just talking about the women getting raped. We talking about there's evidence they were raping men too.
Yes.
And this is all the stuff that was happening, right?
Snatching babies,
snatching babies, using them as alligator bait. I mean, it's a whole number of things that have happened.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people say, well, you all didn't experience that. Well, yeah, but we're the ancestors of those that did experience it. We're the descendants, that's right, of those that did experience it. And so since we're the descendants of it, are there any, look, you know what's amazing? It's a fact that our people have suffered as a result of slavery.
Right, now to this day.
Even now to this day, it's a fact. All of your scientists and your psychologists can determine, they can look at all the facts, and they can determine that it's a fact that we have been affected by it.
The trauma is still there.
It's still there.
That's
right.
what we're talking about. The trauma still exists. And why does the trauma still exist?
Yeah.
Because you have those who have their foot on our necks.
Yep.
And their knee on our necks.
Yep.
And they don't want to take it off.
And even if you say you can't breathe, they gonna keep it there until you stop breathing.
You see. But you know what's going on? There's a mind game that's going on. People, they want to play dumb.
Yeah.
They want to play dumb and pretend like the playing field is level, that everyone has a fair shot in life, and that there is nothing holding so-called black people back. Yeah. They don't want to talk about or deal with the fact that there is a systematic effort to plant certain drugs in the black community. And I know for myself that I've experienced being qualified for a job, but not being selected for the job because of the color of my skin.
Matter of fact, remember the one time you got the phone, you called for a job, and what did the guy say to you when you called to apply for a job?
Okay, so let me just back up a little bit. At the time, I was living with my sister in Detroit, right? And at an early age, I knew I had to change my voice, right? I had to put on my Becky voice. I had to do this, and I realized this a long time ago. And so when I called about the job, I had my Becky voice on when I left the message, right? But when they returned my call to set up an interview, my sister had a very energetic answering machine voice message, right? And she said, "Hi, this is such and such and such and such, and I am so excited." I can remember a part of the message, right? And so you can tell that you were calling the house of a black person, right? Because she was so excited, the message that she left. And I think she was a Mary Kay consultant too at the time, and I think that was on the voice message as well. And so when he heard my voice, he said, "No buckwheats." And so,
and those of you who don't know who Buckwheat is, Little Rascals,
the little black boy
show that came on here. The little black boy's name was Buckwheat. Okay.
And so I called the company back, right? And I said, "Yes, my name is such and such and such and such, and I called about a job." And then he said, "No buckwheats," and he hung up. And so I called right back.
I was sitting there watching. I was cracking up. It was funny to me because I knew my wife was. She wasn't my wife. We were just dating. But I knew that she was gonna call back. So she go let this one go.
So I called back again. As soon as he picked up, "No buckwheats." I said, "Okay." I said, "Ain't this something?" And yet, folk telling us that these types of things don't exist in this country.
Yeah.
We even have so-called black people saying that there is no racism in America, or that America is not racist. I forget the fella's name, Tim Smith, I believe it is. But people have been talking about the fact that he and Kamala Harris have said America is not racist. And I'm trying to figure out what planet are they living on. But anyway, here we are. We're talking about the fact that so-called black people in this country have been through hell. Okay, through slavery, through Jim Crow, through the Civil Rights era, through so many horrific moments. I mean, think about the early 1900s. What was that called? The Red Summer?
Oh, yeah, the Red Summer.
It was so much happening where black people were being killed just for looking black.
There was
just
a lot of riots
black,
that went on during Red Summer in the early 1900s. It happened around Indiana and some of the mid-states areas.
And you know, even Tulsa, Oklahoma. Look at all of the things that have happened in this country. And we understand that it was prophesied, but you have people who just because they have to wear a mask, they are comparing wearing that mask to slavery. And I'm saying, I
know.
What kind of mind thinks like that?
Yeah.
What kind of mind thinks like that? Who really thinks that wearing a mask is comparable to slavery?
I'm sitting up here and I'm saying to myself, you could put on a...
you have to be a reprobate.
You got to be out of your mind to think you can compare the two. When you put on a mask, you just take it, you put it on, and that's it.
And you walk your butt around.
You walk about your butt around, no pain, nobody threatening to kill you if you don't wear the mask.
No one's going to hang you from a tree.
No one's going to hang you from a tree. You don't have those pressures, right? I really don't get it. To me,
your mind has to be sick.
Yeah.
twisted, and demented to compare the two.
This got to be a person, in my opinion, this got to be a person who just don't know the difference between apples and oranges. They don't know the difference between fruit and vegetables. You know, or meat and fruit. You know, it's all the same to them.
Or this clover right here, they think it's the same as slavery. You see, when you don't know how to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, and you will make such a comparison for something so devastating to not just our people who went through this, our ancestors, but even the descendants continue to be strong-armed through life just for being descendants.
You know what I find amazing? The image. This one image somebody posted, and it was kind of like a meme where they showed this white guy climbed up the back of a black man to get to the tree branch, and then after he got himself on the tree branch and pulled himself up and was sitting up high in the tree branch, the black guy looked up at him and said,
like, can you help me up now?
Can you help me up now? And he said, no, you have to
pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
No, he clammed all over the guy's neck and head.
And the guy willingly leant his back and his shoulders and even pushed him up a little bit.
So when I saw that picture, I said, boy, that's true. Then he gets up there, he looks down to you, pull yourself on up.
Right. But let me say this. I have to say this for those of you who like to remind us, we know that this is not everyone. Right?
We know that,
One thing that I don't like is when people think that you're automatically talking about every last individual, right? Whether you're talking about black women, black men, white people, or whatever, we're not talking about every individual,
no, we're
right?
Not.
When we say something about black women need to get themselves together, we're not talking about every last one of them, because we realize that not everyone is the same. When we say things about black men need to get themselves together and stop beating on their women and all of this kind of stuff, every black man don't do that. So we're not talking about everyone.
Every black man is in the same boat.
Right.
Exactly.
And so when we're talking about what happened to our people in the past, we realized that there were those who were a part of the Underground Railroad. We understand that it was white people opening up their doors to help runaway slaves. We do realize that, we understand that, right? And I, for myself, I can say I appreciate that, because that type of mindset still exists today, where you will run across white people who will be more kind to you than your own, okay? And likewise, you'll run across black people. They're going to be real, they're going to be fair, they're going to be loving, and they're not going to have this hate that we see so prevalent among our people, right? You're going to run across those who are going to have a genuine love for you, those who will hug you and greet you and speak to you, right? So we don't have to look at all people like they are the same. Everyone don't have a chip on their shoulder. And so I said that to say this. Just because we talk about these things that have happened to us and continue to happen, we don't need the deflection. The art of deflection is in full force in this world. And guess what? We're tired of it. What happened, happened. And what is happening is happening. And your response to what is happening to our people is further proof of your lack of repentance, in which the Most High said that many of you are going to harden your heart. And that's what we see happening.
It's a shame that people just want to toss that things are like slavery around like it's like it's a frisbee. You know, they just throw that thing around so easy to say, oh yeah, it's like modern day slavery. You know, wearing a mask and all of this, and it's like to me, it's like you can't even to think about what people went through as slaves. You can't even compare it. Just the psychological effect that it had on them. You know, imagine how it felt to work so hard to where you literally work your muscle, the meat off your muscle. He said some people, they will work them so hard. Somebody said work them so hard until their muscles would literally just cave in and give out on them. You know? And just like when we saw Django, remember in the scene where he says he said when they send you over to Sandiki, I think it was the name of the place. It was a mining company. He said, man, they were talking about doing this to the guy and doing that to him, right? Clipping off his you know, whatever. And they said, no, that ain't worse than sending them over to this mining place, because they gonna mine. He said, when they mine you over there, he said, they gonna work you. Now, this is what he said in the movie. He said, they gonna work you so hard until one day your back is gonna give out, or your arms are gonna give out. You ain't gonna be able to do nothing else. And he said, you know what they gonna do to you then? They gonna toss you right over into the hole of the mining, where they gonna just throw you down in there alive.
Like, we're done with you now.
Can't do nothing else. You just throw you down in this hole now, where you gonna die.
Right.
You know, and it's like.
And so you're comparing wearing a mask to that. Are you serious? Oh my goodness. Okay, so what about the hot box? Now that you talk about Django.
Yeah.
The hot box. In the middle of the field with the sun beating down on it all day. And I'm not sure if it was a metal box or a wooden box. All we know is it was the hot box. And they would put slaves in there for hours and just sitting in there sweating, dehydrating in the sun. And you want to compare wearing a mask to that. I don't know what kind of mindset thinks like that.
What about this here, right? The whipping, right? You done dropped some eggs and broke some eggs, or you done did something else, and the boss man's like, I'm going to beat you for that. You know, just like in 7 years a slave, 12 years a slave, right?
Yes.
12 years a slave, right? It was a written book by the man who was in slavery for 12 years. He wrote the book. And he talked about how the young ladies, just because she wanted to go to the neighbors and get some soap, because she was tired of smelling herself, right? And she wanted to go and get some soap, and he wanted to beat her. Just because she said, I just wanted to go get some soap. I just wanted some soap. And the slave master wanted to beat her.
You got to be one cruel, devilish-minded person to think that warrants that type of beating. But, again, the descendants of such people are so out of touch with the suffering that was inflicted on the slaves to where they can compare wearing a mask with slavery. Anyway, we're done with this video. We are done. We just wanted to sit out here and chat a moment about that and just kind of give our perspective on things, right?
Yes.
But this is the world we live in. We realize these things were prophesied. I say it all the time. And so the blame also falls on those of us who refuse to repent. I got to always bring it back home, family.
Yes.
When you refuse to repent, this is what happens. The Most High said, if my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal their land. Right. So the ball is in our court.
Yep, it is.
All right, family. We're out.